Mate, you must be delighted at how the new. Let's be honest, not everyone's special comes out the way they hope. And, certainly sometimes a special can be almost too slick and you lose some of that authenticity. With this special, you've really captured the live Seann Walsh experience. It's hysterically funny, but there is also that air of, and I mean, this is a huge compliment, chaos is in the air, isn't it?
Making it sound like Sean has kept in all the bits that didn't work.
The frisson, the frisson of danger.
Yeah, it was. Well, do you know? It's funny you say that because actually, on this was actually recorded a long time ago, 2021, and it was a kind. It was a kind of half tour show and then a kind of half best of, and so that energy you mentioned, I actually imagine it is there because I hadn't done the show as it is recorded. I hadn't done that show. Do you see what I mean? So we're recording a show that's not been performed as a whole.
Well, I tell you what, to any comedians listening, maybe there's something in there because I personally think the times I enjoy performing certain bits, the time I enjoy it the most is sometimes the very first time I do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I had a bit about people. Tim's thinking, why are you saying past tense? It was relatively new. But I had a bit about people behind me on a flight, watching what I'm watching on a plane, judging me for the very first time I did it was hands down the best it ever went.
Oh yeah.
And then it became too slick. It was too slick, and
Well,
then I just dropped it. Whereas with what you're saying there, that actually makes total sense.
well, I watched. Funnily enough, this morning because we live in the times of having to splice these shows and try and cut them into clips and post them and all of that. I was just checking a clip from it before it went out, and I could see. that I couldn't remember the next line. You wouldn't know it. I don't think the viewer would know it, but I do. I go, I can't remember what the next bit is because I've not said it in 4 years or whatever it is. So, yeah, I mean, I think what happens with that you've mentioned there, you try something the first time, and then a lot of the time after that initial outing of the new bit, it's about rediscovering how you did that the first time. Almost every
Brilliant.
time, the second time is the worst because you're now trying to replicate the first time.
You're doing a cover version of
Yeah, totally. And it never ever works. Rarely does it work the second time. And then you've got to not give up. The key is not to give up there and go, no. It worked. It does work. I've got to find now what that was.
So what you're saying there then, is there not something in that maybe that's why certain clips do so well on social media, because sometimes it might be the first time the person has said the clip rather than the overly slick.
James, if we're going to be here, me and you, you're in your 40s, I'm approaching my 40s. If we're going to be here trying to work out what it is that makes a clip work, we are going to be here for a very long time. When you work it out, text me.
Oh,
Fuck me.
You love this. Jen Brister's like...
Oh, of course.
Jen Brister's obviously had these clips blow up across these past couple of years. She said to me that she's had comedians going, have you worked out the algorithm? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
Worked out the algorithm. Because she would say she's in her 40s, she has kids, she's not sat studying, she's not some sort of blueprint of an algorithm at home. The golden rule is there is no golden rule.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, good. I'm sticking with that then, because I've not worked out the golden rule. I did hear that the thumbnail that you use. This is ridiculous, isn't it? It's pathetic. But the thumbnail you use when you post the video, that should be a close up. that shouldn't be a wide shot. So say it's your Apollo. In the thumbnail, don't use the picture that is of you in a full body length. Use the medium close up.
Why?
The algorithm likes your face, baby. And you're
Should you?
just all, but that's mad. So you go, so hang on. So it's not about what I'm saying. It's not, so it now is about the camera work. It's about if you do this at a close up, the algorithm will prefer it and push it out. I mean, we're just living. How can I cope? How can I deal with it?
Tim Lewis right now is, the Bill Hader gif with the popcorn. Go on.
Yeah.
Should you put, I know I am going to sound every day of my 46 years, should you put text or just the close-up of the face?
I don't know. I do put a title, which I hate and makes me feel sick, and I think it's much cooler to not do that.
So
but this is now we're just personal text. I don't know what I'm talking about. Go on, ask me what. By the way, I'm not good at this, but go on.
Oh, I mean, I'm not good at it, but what Tim will back me up on is no one on the planet is more interested in this than me.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah.
I love hearing.
It is interesting, but
because I don't know, because I am clueless.
Yes, same.
Like we had Max Fosh on the podcast, and he started talking about the algorithm, and it's probably the most I've ever paid attention to anything in my life.
And did you like? Is there anything you can give me off? What did you pick up from him that you can pass on?
People like me are probably overthinking what the algorithm is. It's not like some sort of sentient being,
Yes, I don't believe him. It absolutely is a sentient being. It's totally.
Hang on, Tim. Max did give insight on the algorithm. Can you remember what it was?
Like the times that you post and stuff. All of that madness.
We'd heard something like 11 in the morning and 5 in the evening or something.
Is God,
that's
exactly.
Gotta be bollocks. Tim has either made a sandwich or can't remember what. There was something.
I remember Mark Simmons saying the time of day thing doesn't matter for him.
Yeah, I can believe that. Tim, can you remember what Fosh said about the actual algorithm?
James Corden shared a reel of mine. I wrote some stand-up, and I'm not gigging at the moment, so I wrote some new stuff for the next show, and I thought, do you know what? I could probably squeeze this into 70 seconds or whatever it is. I'll just walk it and do it down the street as comics do now. And then Corden, I checked my phone about a minute later, and James Corden had posted it and shared it for me, and he's got 6 million viewers. So it popped. It was. He's just on Gavin and Stacey. It was so cool. Because if you looked at his stories, it was like Gavin and Stacey, Gavin and Stacey, Gavin and Stacey. Me on a little walk talking about the differences between meeting up and catching up. And that was a really nice.
Wow. Sure.
It was a really buzz. It was a real good buzz. I really appreciated that.
Tim, was it something like you've got? Was it the regularity? Was that what you said about the algorithm?
I can't remember if it was him, but it's meant to basically every clip's meant to look the same and be under 90 seconds.
Yeah. If you look at if I were to look, oh God, if I were to look at the interface of my phone now, the close-ups, the shots of the reels from the special where the thumbnail is in medium shot have all done better than the ones of the wide shot. And when I do the wide shot, basically no one watches them. And I would argue as the comedian that the videos in long shot are better. But because they're in long shot, basically no one's watched them. Very odd.
This is fascinating. We've had some Tim. I mean, Kate Butch shared a clip from Always Be Comedy that's had like well over 1 million views.
Oh, amazing! Fantastic,
I mean, extraordinary.
I mean, we get more views than you do get more views than television now. It's amazing. Like you post a reel, and if it does well, you're getting a higher audience rating than if you were doing stand-up on television. That's mind-blowing. And
you're also seeing it with. So I'm a huge fan of. This will not surprise you. The Stick to Football video podcast with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and the gang. Right?
Is that what it's called? Stick to Football.
Is the umbrella company called Overlap and Stick to Football is the podcast, or is it the other way around? Because I warmed up their overlap show when they went around Europe and they did it in front of an audience.
Shut up.
Yep.
They do like arenas, don't they?
Well, for this was for the Sky show.
Wow.
Overlap on tour. They'd gone around Europe. So each player, they revisited a city that was iconic to each individual. So for Roy Keane, I think they go to Juventus because of that famous semi-final performance.
Right.
You know, so each I think they go to Barcelona for Gary Neville and 1999. So for Jamie Carragher, they go to Istanbul because of 2005, the Champions League final. And then for when they're back in the studio having a chat, they did it in front of an audience in Manchester. So I warmed up for that, and as a super fan, that was like the dream gig. But
wow.
When they do the video podcast, the views they get on that must be way exceeding, say, Match of the Day.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I watch, it's funny, isn't it? Because you end up habitually watching them. I actually have no interest in it, really. And yet I say that. And I watch all of those reels. You know, if I check X or Instagram and it comes up, I watch it. And yet I claim, I go, yeah, it's not really for me. I watch all of the videos. I don't even know why I'm doing it.
Somebody tweeted something like, a bloke will watch a football match, then he will listen to the podcast about the football match, then watch the analysis of the... And I read it. I was like, yeah, I could not be more guilty of this.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's what your listeners are doing now. Your listeners will watch stand-up, and then now they're listening to the stand-ups talk about the stand-up.
I've got to say,
it's meta. We're in the meta universe, aren't we? We're in the universe where actually people are more interested in listening to people talk about the thing than the thing itself. My friend said that he actually prefers the Guardian podcast to football. He actually prefers the podcast about football to football.
You just took the words out of my mouth. There are times where the Stick to Football podcast has been infinitely more entertaining than the match that they're talking about.
It's amazing, isn't it?
They're in hysterics, making each other laugh, or they're having argument. They're obviously pals.
Yes.
About the shittest 0-0 draw you've ever seen.
Yeah.
You must be delighted with again, we're talking viewing figures. It's done great numbers.
It's over 100,000,
yeah.
Which is it's like not a lot, but it is a lot. You know, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not. But when you're not kind of doing, in this day and age, when you're not doing, I don't know, Graham Norton or whatever it is, to then to get people's eyes on a show, and it's not in the shops and there's not posters on it on the underground. It's a wonderful feeling, and that really just comes from people, followers, sharing it, saying you've got to see this, check it out, and then very kindly other comedians, which is a nice thing of comedians to do. So I'm really happy with that. It's amazing.
Now I want to give kudos. Who shot it? Who made it? Because I think they've done such a great job. Sometimes with, say, a super slick Netflix special, it's so slick, it's so far removed. I'm not feeling the ha ha ha. Whereas when I watch this, I actually feel like I'm in the room. So
bless you.
Who shot it for
well,
you?
first of all, I was just I was watching Nate
Bargatze.
Yeah, his new Netflix special I put on last night, and he's obviously shooting a special in the round, but you're watching the comedian talk whilst the camera does a 360 around him. I'm like, what is? This is mad. What's happening? You can just point. It's like Woody Allen. I love the way Woody Allen shoots films. Point the camera at what is happening. That's it. That's all we've got to do here. And I think the same can be said of stand-up. Point the camera there. You know, they're moving about quite a lot. Come out. Right. He's pulled a funny face. Go in. That's just point the camera at what you want them to see. It was a great team that did it. I don't actually know the production company, but What's his name? Oh God, sorry, it's awful. He's done like I know he's done Ross Noble, Mike O'Brien, and he did Ross Noble DVDs back in the day, Dylan Moran DVDs, Eddie Izzard DVDs. You know when that was the market. So it was really nice to have the backdrop. So the backdrop. I thought they made it look amazing. We recorded it at the Brighton Theatre Royal, and you know there's not a big budget there because you're putting it out for free. So you financially you're down,
Of
but
course.
that's the business for a lot of comics these days, and you hope to kind of make that back on the road. So I always when I had a DVD back in the day, my kind of thing that I always enjoy is I want it to with my DVD backdrop. Sorry, I'm being indulgent here, but I had the Live at the Apollo garage, right? So the famous kind of iconic light bulbs, and we recorded it at the Hammersmith Apollo. And it's instead of saying Live at the Apollo, of course, it says Seann Walsh, but it's smashed, it's fallen off, and it's broken, and all the light bulbs have popped.
Yep.
So it was about kind of doing that again. And if you look at the backdrop, you'll see where the light bulbs are draped over my name. They've fallen off. The kind of fairy lights that are meant to be going around, they've fallen off and they're hanging down.
That special is, and I've said this to you before, and I hope you don't mind me including the gag that you cracked. Sean's special, The Lion King, is a great special, and you said you're the only fucker who bought it.
yeah. Which I got from Mark Lamar.
Is that what he said?
When I was in my early 20s. I saw Mark Lamar at Latitude Festival, and I couldn't believe it. That's Mark Lamar, and I went up to Mark Lamar and said, "Hi, can I just say I love you and I love your video, Mark Lamar Uncensored." And he said, "Oh, you're the one that bought it." And I was like, "I'm having that. I know I'll need that line in the future." But yeah, so they did an amazing job of making it look. It still looks big, and but it still looks it looks a bit shoddy, which I always like. I think that's. I was saying this to someone else. I was saying this to Mark Simmons. We were having an in-depth conversation about stand-up, and I always like whatever I'm doing to look like it's gone wrong. That's always my thing. Is like it's showbiz gone wrong. And so when when I'm doing specials and on tour, I've always got the tie loose, and I always try and look like I've just been fired from the job. And I think I do, and I think I really enjoy that element of it.
That look on the new special. That's why I laughed a lot there. That's exactly it. The jacket, the shirt, the tie is. I think if I remember, the top button's undone. The tie's
yeah.
You look like you've just been fired from the job.
And I do. I also look like that in Kiss, and I also look like that in Seann Walsh's Dead Happy Now. It's the same. Obviously, in this one I wear a red jacket, and the last one I wear a white jacket, and the red jacket is actually an homage to one of my favorite films. The level that we think about these things is so unnecessary, isn't it? That no one would have any idea that the story you're trying to tell by what you choose to wear and all of that stuff. But that the red jacket and the loose tie is actually an homage to one of my favorite rom-com and one of my favorite films, The Wedding Singer, when Adam Sandler has been left at the altar and then is doing his last ever just regular wedding. And that's the kind of outfit he's wearing. His jacket's a bit shinier and velvety, but he's wearing the red jacket, his tie's loose, and he just looks absolutely broken. And that's what I like.
Well, I have the microphone, so you will listen to every word I have to say. That is a perfect film.
Well, you should have seen that. You should have gone, hang on, that's Robbie Hart.
As you started talking and said The Wedding Singer, there was a very happy shiver down my spine, because that's a real favourite of
It's absolutely incredible.
He loves her and she loves this guy over here.
Again, information that would have been a little more helpful.
apparently he was in Clapham, wasn't he? Playing basketball at Clapham, near Clapham Common Park.
Was he?
Yeah.
Mm.
I would look. I mean, he's one of those people. If I met him, right. There's a podcast, Fly on the Wall, Dana Carvey and David Spade,
Yes.
and they give this
Yes.
advice that if you ever meet a hero, rather than just going, "Oh my god, I love you," the trick is to mention something niche and
Sure.
random,
Sure.
and I think that's brilliant advice. I bumped into John Cleese
Oh, what?
2 weeks ago.
No, you didn't. No,
Yeah.
Oh
I was
my
with-
God, man!
I was with Emily and the girls.
You don't understand. You don't.
And I
I
went-
can't. I need time to process this. Hang on. I can't believe you, man. That man means so much to me. Like he, do you know? You know. One of my favorite. Sorry, we'll get back to you.
No,
James,
no. This
but
is great. This is great.
Right. So I have a quite a peculiar. It's quite an immature sense of humor, really, and one of my all-time favorite comedies, which is, and I love watching it. It's one of my comfort movies. I love how funny it is, and you'll never guess it. It absolutely bombed. It's really not, it's not well regarded at all. Fierce Creatures is one of.
I knew you were going to say Fierce Creatures.
Kevin Kline, who I was just watching in The Dispatches, how we got to the point where we've got to, where we haven't used Kevin Kline in more comedy when he was at that age, is an absolute sin. It's a travesty. The man is a complete genius. Kevin Kline in Fierce Creatures. Oh my God. One of my favorite all-time lines in comedy. And the thing is, again, it's that thing of the audience don't know how much you're thinking about these things. There are bits in my stand-up that are only I know is a homage to Kevin Kline in Fierce Creatures. The way he says things, I often say things like Kevin Kline in Fierce Creatures. There is a bit where
That's so great.
it's one of my all-time favorite lines.
I'm laughing at how much Sean is laughing.
Kevin Kline. He grabs John Cleese, and John Cleese is trying to. They kind of gone. Can we do 40 towers in a zoo? It's kind of what they've done. And John Cleese is playing a kind of nicer version of Basil, but still has his moments. Kevin Kline holds John Cleese's tie. They're walking along this path of the zoo, and he holds John Cleese's tie. He picks it up from where John Cleese is wearing it, and he holds it, and he looks at it, and he goes, "Easily, you can see." It makes me laugh so much. And if you ever hear me in my stand-up say insane, which I say a lot, it's just me being Kevin Kline in Fierce Creatures, because it makes me laugh so much.
Also, are you insane? That is a real Walshism now.
Yeah, it's Kevin Kline in Fierce Creatures. Are you insane? I do it in the self-service checkout bit in Back from the Bed. I say, I think they go, "Would you like to pay?" I think it's here. It might be somewhere else, but on the self-service checkout where it says, "Would you like to pay by coin?" Coin? Are you insane? It's just me doing Kevin Kline. It's my stand-up is probably built. If you deconstructed all of it, you could go, "That's Kevin Kline, that's Jim Carrey, that's Lee Evans." It's like the Tarantino. It's like a Tarantino movie of stand-up.
So Kevin Kline wins the Oscar for Fish Called Wanda.
Yeah.
Has anyone won an Oscar for a comedy since then?
Good question.
I'm not sure.
Good question. Now, I don't think so. But let's go back to. Well, it wasn't a comedy, but I mean, me and you, I think, spoke at the time that it was an absolute disgrace, and it was probably the the straw that broke the camel's back for me with in regards to how much the Oscars, excite me. That you don't even nominate Adam Sandler for his performance in
Uncut Gems.
that you don't even nominate him is you go, well then you don't know what you're
What is that all about? Because
that's the best actor of the year, so he should win. But sometimes they don't, and that's fine. But to not nominate him, you go, well then this isn't this is meant to be the best of. We've decided you're the best, and you've not even nominated him. So well then you don't know what you're talking about. So I can't listen to who you're going to nominate.
I could not agree more. When I'm watching that film, you're practically saying out loud, this is another level. This is
ridiculous.
This is the best performance he's given in an amazing career. I could not agree more. Yeah.
Now, I interrupted you.
Not at all.
And I want to hear about it. So come on, you meet Cleese 2 weeks ago. I can't so fucking jealous.
So I said to my wife, I'm not bothering him. And she goes,
Where are you? Where are you?
West London, near Sloane Square.
Near me. Okay.
And I go, no, you don't. Not in public like that. And she goes, I think you'll regret that if you don't tell him
definitely
that you love him.
Definitely.
And so I walk. He's already walked past, so I've got about 50 yards to make up. And while I'm doing it, I am rapidly trying to find the poster we did, because we did an episode of our Comedy Heroes podcast all about John Cleese. So I've got to find that poster in the time it takes to catch up John Cleese. I said to Tim, why I didn't just type in John Cleese on an email and it would have come up immediately. And I've got like weeks to scroll. And he's there. And as I get to him, I've pretty much found it, pressed the poster, and then able to go, because then at least he knows, oh, right, this guy's a legit fan. And he couldn't have been lovelier. He couldn't have gone any better. Couldn't have been warmer. Great chat.
Wonderful.
But I'm such a fan that I know he loathes people asking for a picture.
So yes, I've read that, yes.
So Emily could not believe I didn't ask for a picture. And the niche thing I picked out was the line from Clockwise, it's not the despair, I can take the despair, it's the hope I can't stand. And he loved that I brought it up. Great. And yes. he goes, and I did tell this on a couple of weeks ago, but he goes, his face lit up, and he goes, did you know that line is the only line in the whole film that I wrote?
Oh man. Now what a moment. What a moment.
He said, by the way, I've not seen it. My mother-in-law's seen it. She did say it was hilarious. He asked if I'd seen the Fawlty Towers play, and he was like, he says he's not seen an audience laugh like that for a long time, and he says the walls are shaking with laughter.
I had tickets and then got a job, so I couldn't go because of course I had tickets. Yeah, I know I would love it, and you've just reminded me I have to go. Yeah. Absolutely.
What now? If you bumped into him,
by the way, I've got. I must have told you about this before. Can you see that? Do you know this story? I end up telling it every time. Do you know what this is?
Yeah. Yes. So hang on. Jimmy Carr played a part in this.
I was at the Montreal Comedy Festival, and I ended up backstage somehow through the help of David Baddiel and then Jimmy Carr. And I was so starstruck. My phone died. My phone died. And I was so starstruck. This man had absolutely, even as a, 39-year-old man who's had enough time to think about these kind of things, Jim Carrey changed the course of my entire life. Probably more than, in a way, more than anyone else has ever done.
So he to you is what the Beatles were to a previous. When the Beatles come along, they change the course of people's lives.
And if you go, I suppose there's Noel and Liam. If there's no Beatles, is there an Oasis?
No,
that's where they're exactly. Well, if there's no Jim Carrey, then there's that's the same. But yeah, so I was so starstruck, I didn't think to ask Baddiel or Jimmy if I could use their phone.
Now, please explain what you're holding there.
This is just a framed piece of paper It's a frame that I've got from I don't know where, and it just says "You met Jim Carrey," and it's just to remind me that the universe.
Did you write that?
Universe. Yes, I wrote that. Yeah, sorry, because I don't have the photo, so I just thought I would frame a sentence that reminds me that the universe took this young 10-year-old who watched Ace Ventura, and through the course of his life took him across the ocean, to Canada, and I got to tell Jim Carrey, you changed my life, and thank him.
I watched a clip recently because we did a Heroes about Jim Carrey. It's one of the Wayans brothers went like above and beyond to get him on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
This guy's special or something like that was the line.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that incredible though?
Absolutely, it's amazing.
Because some people would be a bit, pull up the ladder. This guy's different gear. So
totally, yeah.
For them to be so collaborative and community-minded and supportive, I mean, that's a testament to those dudes.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
Was it 3 auditions at SNL, and they went, no. I mean, are you insane?
Are you insane?
Who is watching Jim Carrey do an audition and going, nah, we don't need that?
Yeah. It's too much. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe he was too much that they didn't know how they could harness that.
And again, this comes back to how has he not been Oscar nominated?
For Truman Show, for Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon.
Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah. I mean, Liar. Oh yeah. In Liar Liar, I think you see the first. Liar Liar is my favorite Jim Carrey film. It's my favorite Jim Carrey comedy. And
I am shocked.
What do you mean? Are you joking?
I would never have guessed that. Liar
Oh,
Liar.
absolutely. I love. It's perfect. I mean, it's actually perfect.
I need to revisit Liar Liar.
It's so perfect.
I do love the outtake where she goes, over actor.
Yeah.
Some people would have dropped off the set, 100%. Some people would not have.
Yeah.
And for him to own it and go, they're onto me, is just that is so good.
What I love about Cleese and Kerry, and Steve Martin as well in Planes, Trains, which is my other favorite comedy. Is I love family comedies. I love comedies where the whole family can laugh together. I think
it doesn't get better than Planes, Trains.
It's the most special. That's the most, for me, the most special thing comedy could do. And as I've gotten older, in fact, to bring it back to my special, I was upset at myself because we shot it in 2021. I was upset at myself with the amount of swearing that's in it that is not really needed. I didn't realize I was doing it so much until I watched it back. And there's one bit towards the end that probably is a bit naughty and means it couldn't be a family comedy. But in the most part, I would say Back from the Bed. If you ignore maybe just a couple of references towards the end in a routine about photos on your phone, I would say that is a great special that the family could watch. And I don't see really, if you took out the swearing, why you couldn't watch that with the kids. You couldn't watch that. There's just a bit of just like fucking this and fucking that. But if you can get past that, like Lee Evans used to do that, if you can get past that, there's really no reason why you can't watch that special with the whole family. I think it's a man who's incredibly stressed, doesn't know how to function in the world, and is finding a problem in everything. And I think I always try and make stand up that if you have it on mute, if you just to put that on mute and you don't listen to anything I'm saying, you go, this guy's nuts. This guy's fucking nuts. This is hilarious. How old is he? Should he really be behaving like this? That for me is the joy. And I'm trying to do that in the next show how can I work myself up so much that it's actually ridiculous? You know, why is this guy so stressed and worked up about all of this?
So what is the next show?
The next show's called This Is Torture.
Is it recorded?
No. I'm writing it. No, I'm writing it at the moment. I'm performing it. I'm gigging bits and bobs. But it's called This Is Torture because it just really made me laugh. And I think that's where everything that I'm saying normally comes from, the place of this is, and I say it a lot in my life. I'm always finding myself in situations where under my breath I'm just going, oh, this is torture.
This is torture. I once interviewed a cricketer who did not want to be there, and I said, how's it going? I'm a friendly guy. I went, hey, how's it going? And he just said, tedious.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
And that became like for a group of my mates, that was a catchphrase. So if they were queuing at the bar and it was taking too long, or they're on the escalator at the tube, they would say, tedious.
That's both my other kind of, I suppose, catchphrase is typical.
Typical.
Which I nearly called the.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I nearly called the tour that, but
Typical.
I say typical a lot in my life, and then, yeah. Anyway,
So we've talked Cleese, we've talked Carey, we've talked Sandler. Do you have any other comedy heroes?
Well, we did your other pod where you come up with a bill, and I would say that, you know, Dylan Moran and Lee Evans.
But Carey, you're number one.
Carey changed. I would say if you were to go, who has like the biggest effect on your life? You go Jim Carrey, Lee Evans, and probably Stephen Grant.
Sure.
For the listeners that don't know, Stephen Grant is the kind of, he's the resident MC in Brighton, and he was like the first guy I ever saw do a live, he was the first person I ever saw that wasn't famous, that was doing stand-up and making the audience laugh just as much as famous people make people laugh. And so that's yeah.
But anyway, the great thing with this special, by the way, listener, if you've not seen it, do yourself a favour. It's free. It's on YouTube. But the idea is that for those people who maybe aren't familiar with you or they haven't seen the special, but the idea is that this is a calling card for the next tour, if you like.
Yeah. Bless you. Yeah, thank you. You're doing a good job. This is it, Gil. You're plugging the tour as well. This is fantastic. Exactly.
No, that is.
No, but that's what you're doing, is you're hoping that you can catch people. You go, look, check this out. It's free. You're on YouTube anyway.
This guy's hilarious.
Exactly.
And then he's in Basingstoke in August or whatever.
That's it.
When do you announce the tour?
I don't know. Autumn. I think it'll be in the autumn. I don't know when we announce it, but it should be good.
Take this compliment. You are one of the guys who've really nailed this new way of doing things, i.e., you put the special out for free, you then sell the tickets to the next tour, and on and on. It works, doesn't it?
I hope so. I think it does. I hope so. The last tour was great, and
I can hear Danny saying to me, "James, you're doing a great job here."
Exactly. Yeah. No, I do. I hope that's the way, and I'm going to write a book as well. I'm doing all the things that it's kind of weird. You're becoming like, you kind of become strange how it happens. You kind of become your own business where you go, well, if I put the YouTube special out for free, and then we'll go on the tour, and then I'll write a book so I can meet them afterwards, and they can buy the book there, and all of that stuff. It's it's good fun.
I think you have to be though.
You do. That's the way. That's the market.
You are your own project, aren't you? You know.
Yeah.
I remember Bill Burr saying years ago that when he was doing gigs with someone, and he said the amount of merch this other comedian had, because they'd finished the show, and then this guy was out with the book, the DVD, the T-shirt, the keyring, or whatever. And this guy was, he was ahead of the curve.
Exactly. It's like Eddie Izzard, used to.
Yes.
Eddie Izzard stayed behind at the gig and took everyone's email address before anyone really knew what the hell he was doing. What was he doing? Why was he taking people's email addresses? And now look.
My big takeaway from that very good documentary is that Eddie Izzard is, I mean, this sounds like I'm throwing shade, and I'm not. He's a, sorry, also, we're talking about Eddie Izzard in the 1990s. We're not talking about Susie Eddie Izzard in 2025.
Right.
And I know we would both want to make that abundantly clear.
Yeah.
But there is a documentary about, thank you so much, about Eddie, and what comes across is how business savvy Eddie was from the off.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not business savvy. I'm just trying to keep up. And
Eddie in the 90s, early 90s, does a TV appearance, the Raised from Wolves TV. He does the Raised by Wolves routine, and it goes viral before viral is a thing. And then books a residency in a theatre in London, and I think sells the run out off the back of this.
Wow, what a time to be! Yeah, I mean it was a different time, wasn't it? Anyway, we're not so fortunate to be in those times. But what I think to end on a high, the positive is, all right. Once upon a time, if you couldn't get your spot on Live at the Apollo, which I've been fortunate enough to do. But if you couldn't do those things, then that was kind of it for you, really. You would be then on the circuit and you would be a jobbing comic, which is a great life, but that really would be the ceiling. And so to be able to go, okay, I don't have a Netflix special, which I joke about in the trailers for the special. I don't have a Netflix special, but I can still get this out there to over 100,000 people now.
That's the way you really think about it.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and the feedback and the comments and people have been so lovely. And it's very different from the other two that are also on YouTube, Kiss and Dead. They're darker themes. They're much more personal, and to go back to just what I love doing was such a joy. So I'm really happy with the reaction.
This is my favourite Seann special.
Oh, bless you. It's my favourite as well.
Bless you. I mean, I've loved them all, but by a distance, I laughed my on my own in a room, laughing out loud.
Oh, lovely.
That's quite a big deal.
Bless you.
Before you go, no, I know you got to go. No, hang on.
I do, because I've got. Do you know what? I've got to leave you and go to speak to Mark Steele.
Very, very quickly. Please talk us through the trailers, because Chris Washington is fucking hilarious in that. I mean, what a great performance.
So I like to kind of I'm always like making little short films and stuff that I put on my website, also for free. You can go and check those out. But so I wanted to do something a bit different than just having a clip of the stand-up. And I've thought, what if I make a joke about how it's on YouTube? Why don't we have the meetings of myself and my agent going to Netflix and Amazon and BBC and Channel 4, and because the current kind of crop of stand-up, not all of it obviously, but you begin to see the same kind of themes in a lot of mental health and stuff like that, and I stay away from all of that in this. And Chris Washington is, if you don't, for the listeners who don't know him, you must go and check Chris Washington out. He's one of the funniest comedians in the country. And also to know in real life, he's so talented. And if you just watch my trailers, if you go on Instagram, you'll see the trailers, and it's just me and Chris in meetings with the big streaming services, and Chris keeps on mucking up my chances of getting a special with
really funny.
But he's so brilliant, and we're going to do something. We're meeting up next week to try and see if we can do something a bit bigger that doesn't break the bank too much. But again, it's that thing of, okay, you're not going to give me a sitcom. Once upon a time, that would mean no sitcom. That doesn't mean that anymore. It means, all right, well, we're going to have to do this ourselves. Let's try and work this out. So that's what me and Chris will try and do something this year. I don't know what.
My interpretation of those videos as well was you poking fun at yourself.
Absolutely.
Saying, I'm not fashionable.
Absolutely. I do know, it's so funny you say that. I think that I'm watching stand up a lot at the moment because I'm writing the next show, and I'm like, there's a word for it. Is it anachronistic? I'm not really of my time. I'm like a throwback now. It's like watch. It's like my stand-up is like a throwback to what I grew up watching. The thing is, I really like that. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do. I'm going to send you a clip of Freddie Starr at the Royal. I think it's like the Royal
phenomenal.
Command performance. Have you seen it where he does Vincent and the tape speeds up and slows down?
Phenomenal. Of course I have. Phenomenal.
That's one of the best. That is one of the. That is a clip I go back to a lot.
Absolutely incredible.
That's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know why that class of comedy they don't get the respect they deserve. I mean, that's one of the best things I've ever seen.
He calls out people for miming. They're cheats. They're cheating you. That is just one of those clips where the planets align. Freddie is in the zone. Turns to the guy, tapes. Oh, I could watch all day. Anyway, Seann, thank you very much.
So sorry I've got to rush on.
No, that was perfect. Bless you, dude. We'll see you soon.
Lots of love. I'm going to shoot.
Lots of love. Take care, mate.
Soon.